My biggest concern is the loss of history, and the major piece of that is really where a number of our people who live in the community came from, and that is within the institutions. And it's tough today to really sort of convey what those conditions were like. My first experience walking in at lunchtime, literally as a brand new staff person, were 100 people sitting on the floor. Half of them were stark naked, with a staff person walking around with a loaf of bread underneath his arm, sort of dealing out the loaf of bread like a deck of cards and just flipping it to people who were sitting on the floor. That was 40 years ago.
Thanks to organizations like the Arc of Greater Plymouth. Those days are history. The Arc of Greater Plymouth was founded in 1966 with a mission to provide services and support to individuals with developmental disabilities and their families. Today, more than 1,000 families across southeastern Massachusetts depend on the Arc. The McDonalds have been involved with the Arc since their son Chris was 6 years old. They adopted Chris as an infant and soon found out he had autism.
Me and my wife were overwhelmed. We didn't know what to do.
Luckily for the McDonalds, the Arc was there.
Everybody that I have met at the Arc has been so supportive, and they really care. It's a tremendous organization. They do so many things that, and my son's involved in every one of them.
Instead of putting limits on people, we are now looking at everybody as an individual, no matter what their ability or supposed disability is. And if we don't put boundaries in place, everybody reaches their potential.
Emily and her son Max have received services from the Arc since Max was 5 years old. He's now 22. Max is involved in many of the Arc's programs and activities, and Max is flourishing. Today he and his mom celebrate his success, but it wasn't always this way.
The autism was so debilitating. We couldn't go to the grocery, we couldn't manage to get through a day at school. We were hostages. I felt so isolated back then, and I think that there are so many families that feel exactly that way. It's a wonderful gift to have someone like Max in your life, but it's also a tremendous amount of work, and you get tired, and you need people who will come around us and help, and the Arc does provide that. They are there no matter what the issue, and they just love Max, and that means everything to me.
There's no us and them, there's us. There's the communities that they support, there's the families that they support.
Soccer is one of the many enriching activities the Arc organizes. Now Chris, Max, and others can be part of things they'd normally get shut out of because of their disability.
Hi, that's it.
Now they can not only play along, but also become the winners they truly are.
The Arc is a dynamic, ever-evolving and changing organization that are people who are just committed to supporting each other and moving all of our communities forward and making them better.
We're talking about helping them put food on the table, actually paying their rent, in some cases their mortgage, paying for their fuel costs, and actually clothing. It's a huge responsibility that obviously we take very seriously, and our numbers are growing.
The Arc helps families survive. It also helps them thrive. And one of the ways is by providing employment opportunities with businesses and organizations like the Mass Maritime Academy and the Emelson YMCA. The Arc has been in partnership with the Y for more than 10 years.
It's been a great program for us. It really has brought a lot of joy to us when we see either Kevin or Jerry or Marianne or Tara come in. You can't help but smile. They're just happy. They're happy to be here. The members love them, and they do a great job for us.
They said that I do a good job cleaning the bathroom.
Having a job gives us a sense of purpose. It gives us confidence. Arc member Leanne has succeeded in many jobs and says she couldn't have done it without the Arc.
I'm afraid to start new jobs because I'm afraid I'm going to fail. And the Arc really supports me on how to build up self-esteem and get out there and working.
Because the Arc was by her side, Leanne truly believes in her capabilities. She now plans to get her GED and go to college.
I think if people really could see and understand the capabilities of folks, the doors would open even wider than they are now.
These kids are extraordinary. Their joy will rub off on you. So often we push these kids aside and we think they're less valuable and less important, and they are our very best teachers.
Along with helping individuals, the ARC gives back to the community as well, with service and outreach projects like the food pantry.
22 more, we'll have all 30 bags.
Through partnerships with businesses like the Greater Plymouth Warehouse, Shaw's, and Macy's, and a grant from the United Way, the ARC provides food for nearly 50 families in Plymouth. Developing partnerships and enriching communities, the ARC of Greater Plymouth has a mission: to help, even in the most challenging cases, like Elmer. At 75, he was an alcoholic, needed a hip replacement, and was being kicked out of his apartment. There seemed to be little hope for his life.
There were people that felt, okay, this is how he's lived his life. He has a right to eventually kill himself. And my feeling was, no, we can make a change here.
And the ARC did just that. Elmer is about to celebrate his 80th birthday. He's sober, happy, and living in his own home.
People like Elmer and other folks that we support, I think we have almost a higher obligation that we're here to help and protect those people, and that we need to do whatever we can to make sure that their lives are better.
The way we treat individuals with developmental disabilities has improved over the years, but the history should never be forgotten. Just ask Donna. Her sister Diana was born with Down syndrome.
When she was born in the late 60s, my parents were in their 20s, and she was their second child. I was 2 years old at the time, and the doctors told them not to take her home. They said, put her in an institution. She's never going to walk. She's never going to talk. She'll tear your family apart. Take your daughter home, your 2-year-old, and take care of her. And my parents described it as they were living in New York. Dad was in the Army. Yeah, and they were kids themselves. And they said, you know what? We're doing okay with the one we have at home. We take her home. She's our daughter. We love her. And that's what they did.
Donna's parents said no. We're not sending her away. And they took their newborn home. The family has relied on the ARC and its support for the last 30 years. Diana is as happy and independent as she can be. She has a job and lives in a condominium. She, like many others with developmental disabilities today, has a beautiful life with the unwavering support from the ARC of Greater Plymouth.